Dzemael Darkhold. A natural network of caves that House Dzemael sought to fortify and use as a safe haven for those outside of Ishgard city walls when the Dravanian hordes would attack. While excavating, however, they happened upon an unfortunate discovery. An etheric tear was allowing void scent to pour into the caves unabated. It was for this reason that the project was abandoned, but House Dzemael was never one to swallow their pride in the face of grave danger, and commissioned the Adventurers Guild to purge the Darkhold of the otherworldly menace so that fortifications could resume. Hi, I'm Tyler, Final Fantasy XIV player and amateur bartender, and I've made it my mission to craft a cocktail for every dungeon in the game. And today, we're doing Dzemael Darkhold. Welcome to a cocktail reborn. Let's get started. Everybody takes a crap on Aram Vale as the worst dungeon, but I maintain that before the duty support fixes, Dzemael Darkhold was hands down the worst dungeon in the game. And Heaven's Word only made it worse when Count Edmond de Fortin pronounced the house name correctly, and we lost the alliteration of Dismal Darkhold. Thanks, Count! Waiting in arcane circles to get them to unlock, waiting to get the floating eye over to a crystal so you could hit it, waiting for the second boss to come out of his cave, waiting for Batral to stop being invulnerable. So much waiting. Thankfully, most of that's been removed, and it moves a lot smoother now, though I do kinda miss the all-seeing eye fight being as janky as it was. When I think about Ishgard, my mind typically goes to things inspired by France. And when it comes to alcohol and the French, usually you think of wine, or, in my case, champagne. And wouldn't you know it, my wife's birthday was coming up and she's a big fan of raspberry mimosas, so I had some extra sparkling wine to experiment with. Since House Dzemael is known for their military might as well as their architectural prowess, I thought something inspired by the French 75, named for a French artillery cannon, would work here. And since we have a lot of presents from the Void Scent in this dungeon, that gave me license to make things a little more interesting. Let's craft. As mentioned, this is going to be a sparkling wine cocktail. I don't like how bready champagne is personally, so I'm going with Prossecco. Feel free to use whichever is your favorite. The crystals that would allow you to damage the all-seeing eye in the original form of the dungeon were purple. And since we established in Tamtara Deepcroft that Empress Indigo Gin would be a good stand-in for void magic, I felt that appropriate to use here as well. Littered throughout the latter part of the Darkhold is a series of corrupted crystals, intermittently releasing bursts of ether that can harm you if you're standing in the orange AoE puddle. For this, I wanted something bitter, but not too bitter. Something that you are aware of, but that mostly stays in the back of your mind, like the crystals. So I'm going with Aperol. Doesn't hurt that it's orange either. We'll add some lemon juice for balance. Then, because it's pretty dry up to this point, I wanted to add some sweetness and presentation in the form of simple syrup and grenadine. Both of these are homemade, with the simple syrup being a rich simple, so it's 2 parts sugar to 1 part water, and the grenadine being 1 to 1, equal parts sugar and pomegranate. This is going to be partially shaken and partially built in the glass. So get your bubbly and your glass chilling. We'll start by putting a 1/4 ounce simple syrup, 1/2 ounce of lemon juice, and 1 ounce of Aperol in the shaking tin. Add ice and shake for about 10 seconds. In our 6 ounce martini glass, add 1/4 ounce of grenadine. Using a bar spoon, gently pour the contents of the shaker into the glass, trying to maintain a layer between the cocktail and the grenadine. Use the spoon again and gently pour 1.5 ounces of Empress Indigo so that it layers on top. Then, using the same method, we will top with the Prossecco. Garnish with an all-seeing eye made from a lemon peel and a good cherry. And here we have Dzemael Darkhold. Let's give it a taste. Cheers. So this is a drink that will evolve as you drink it. I use a fairly dry Prossecco, which helps to bring out the flavor of the gin. So the top is basically like a sweetened, bubbly gin. And then as you go deeper, oh, I'm gonna get drunk on this one. You start to get the Aperol in there. You're not really gonna get much of the Grenadine until you get to the very bottom. The Aperol adds a nice little bite of bitterness as you're drinking. Makes sense because you get the purple crystals first, and then you get to the orange corrupted crystals second. This is another one I had trouble with, but once I figured out the formula that I wanted, it all came together very nicely. And that is Dzemael Darkhold. Sound off in the comments below if you decide to make this drink. I made this to my personal tastes, so your mileage may vary. Please like, share, and subscribe if you liked the video, and stay tuned for the next one, which is... oh god. No. No. No! Arm veil. And until then, Fury take me.